It was this time last year when the 2019 draft took place. There were some players that went on to become immediate starters and made a huge impact on their team. Some didn't have the chance to play, and some had a rough start. But it's too soon to give up on the players that weren't so fortunate. So let's go back and look at each draft pick in the first round and give a grade on how things have panned out for now. The Arizona Cardinals had the first pick in the NFL draft, and they just chose to go quarterback. They moved on from Josh Rosen after they picked a quarterback from the year before, and they went with Kyler Murray, who had a pretty decent season for a rookie, given the circumstance on a really bad football team. Kyler did fairly average for a rookie quarterback, playing in all 16 games, a completion percentage of 64.4, 3,722 yards, 20 touchdowns, to 12 interceptions with a pretty good average of an 87.4 passer rating. Kyler looked every bit like a franchise quarterback. He did struggle at times, but he definitely looked like he flashed the talent, has the leadership, and looks like he is the guy to go forward in the system built on by Cliff Kingsbury's pistol offense. So I'm going to go with a B+ for Kyler. The second pick in the NFL draft belonged to the San Francisco 49ers, and this pick, boy did this pick work out very well. Nick Bosa made the 2020 Pro Bowl. That says it all. Playing in all 16 games, starting at 14, 9 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumbles recovered, and interception. To me, this pick is an A all the way. At number 3, the New York Jets took the best player available in Quinnen Williams, the interior defensive lineman from the Alabama Crimson Tide. Playing in 13 games and starting at 9, Quinnen had a little bit of an up and down season and definitely has shown flashes of his ability, but has a few things to work on. 2.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and 28 tackles to cap off a up and down rookie year. But he certainly has the potential to become a very good player in the Jets defense. But because he had a little bit of a slow start and a few things to work out, I'm probably going to give this one a C+. Clelin Ferrell's season started out pretty slow. He did play in 15 games, but as the season progressed, he got better and wound up with 4.5 sacks and 38 total tackles. Clelin, the now Las Vegas Raider, I'm going to grade him at a solid B-. Devin White had a pretty good rookie season, missing a few games, but played in 13 of them and started all of them. Had 2.5 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 4 recovered, with an interception and a total of 91 tackles. That number could have been bigger if he hadn't missed a few of those, but Devin White is certainly a good player that the Buccaneers defense can count on for years to come. With that, I'm going to give Devin White a good solid B. At pick number 6, the New York Giants stunningly took Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was able to step in after the Giants decided to bench Eli Manning after poor play, so he played in 13 games and started all 13. After the Eli benching, wound up going off with a 61.9 completion percentage, 3,027 yards, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, with a average 87.7 passer rating. All pretty good numbers by a rookie quarterback. While he struggled at times, Daniel Jones looks every bit like a franchise quarterback. At pick number 7, the Jacksonville Jaguars got a steal here by taking the edge rusher Josh Allen. And Josh Allen looked definitely as good as advertised. He played in all 16 games, starting 4, but he was playing behind 2 edge rushers, Yannick Ngakoue and Calais Campbell, which is why he only started 4. And in those 4 games and playing in those 16 games and the 4 starts, he put up a whopping 10.5 sacks for a rookie, with 2 forced fumbles, none recovered, no picks, and 44 total tackles. I'm going to say what I said before, and I'm going to say it now. The Jacksonville Jaguars got a steal, and this pick is at a solid A grade. With the 8th pick in the draft, the Detroit Lions went with a little bit of a shocker pick and took a tight end, TJ Hockenson, who put up some pretty decent stats but had an up and down year, 32 catches, 367 yards, 2 touchdowns. Came out roaring right out of the gates with 6 catches for 131 yards and 1 touchdown right off the bats again at Arizona. And then things started to quiet down for him a little bit. He dealt with a few injuries, a concussion, and then unfortunately an ankle injury that wound up going to IR. But he certainly displayed some potential as a really good starting tight end for the Lions, so for this one, I'm going to give this one a solid B. Ed Oliver was able to start right out of the gates as a rookie, starting 7 games out of the 16 games he played in. He lost his starting job around mid-season, but when he played, he played very well. He got 5 sacks total with 1 forced fumble and 43 tackles. The number 10 pick was traded from the Denver Broncos, so the Pittsburgh Steelers went up and they got an inside linebacker, Devin Bush. Devin played in all 16 games, starting in 15, notched up 2 interceptions, 1 sack, 1 forced fumble, and 4 fumbles recovered, with a whopping 109 total tackles. So I'm going to go with an A- for this pick. Jonah Williams wasn't able to get onto the field, and he missed the entire season with a torn labrum in his left shoulder, so therefore I can't give him a grade. The Green Bay Packers here at 12 went with a shocker pick by taking an edge rusher and not filling a need with the freaky athletic Michigan outside pass rusher Rashawn Gary, who played in 16 games, started none because he was playing behind the Smith brothers, who were the Packers starters at outside linebacker. In limited snaps, he went up getting 2 sacks, no forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovered with no picks. Rashawn is a raw prospect who is still continuing to develop, but with the raw athletic ability, he should be able to catch on pretty soon. He'll have a larger role in the Packer defense. But because Rashawn didn't make much of an impact right off the bat for the Packers, being a number 12 pick, I have to give this pick roughly a C-. At number 13, the Miami Dolphins took interior defensive lineman Christian Wilkins, who played all 16 games, started 14, started off a little bit slow, but it was able to pick things up. He wound up getting a total of 2 sacks, no fumbles recovered, one fumble recovered, no forced fumbles, and a total of 30 tackles. So I'm going to go with a C+ for Christian Wilkins. Chris Lindstrom got an unlucky break. Literally. He broke his foot in week 1 for his first game with the Atlanta Falcons in a loss to the Minnesota Vikings, and wound up only playing 5 games and starting all 5 games when he was healthy, and didn't return until week 14. He started at right guard. He allowed no sacks in that span of time and looks every bit like a really good starting guard in the Atlanta Falcons offense. So I'm going to give this pick a solid B. Dwayne Haskins didn't start right away in his rookie season. He was backup to Case Keenum before he got benched, and then Dwayne Haskins was able to play in 9 games, starting 7 of them, and in those games he got a completion percentage of 58.6, 1,365 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions with a passer rating of 76.1. It is certainly not a very good start, but it's not a horrible start. To be fair, he had some limited offensive weapons, with his best receiver being Terry McLaurin. With some more weapons and a better offense around him, better coaching, the Washington Redskins could have a pretty good quarterback in Dwayne Haskins. Unfortunately for the year, I just cannot really give him too much of the benefit of the doubt, so this grade here is a C+. Brian Burns came out at the beginning of the season on fire, and he burned offensive tackles left and right. He got sacks in 5 straight games from weeks 2 to 6, with 7.5 on the total on the season, with 1 forced fumble, 1 recovered, which was a 56-yard touchdown. But unfortunately, a wrist injury wound up sidelining him and wasn't the same player since. And for this grade, I'm going to go with a B+. The big defensive end, Dexter Lawrence, was a huge reason why the Giants' run defense was so lethal. He was arguably the team's best interior run stopper. He was reliable as well. He played in all 16 games, started all of them, got notched in 2.5 sacks, went with 1 forced fumble, and 38 total tackles. I thought when Dexter Lawrence was drafted, this was a very underrated draft pick to start with, and I'm going to say that this is a very underrated draft pick again. So this pick here by the New York Giants, their second pick, is a B+ all the way. Garrett Bradbury struggled a little bit in his first season with the Minnesota Vikings, allowing 4 sacks, which is tied for second among qualifying starting centers. but was a constant there, playing all 16 games and starting all 16. With more experience, maybe Garrett Bradbury could turn out to be a very good draft pick for Minnesota. But right now, I gotta give this pick a grade at about the C range. The Denver Broncos moved down from 10 to 20 to take Noah Fant, the tight end, playing in 16 games and starting for 11 of them. Fant had a pretty quiet start to the season, but then came on for a Week 9 game against the Cleveland Browns, and then finished out his season strong with a final stat line of 40 catches, 562 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This pick here for the Denver Broncos is I'll go with a B for the pick of Noah Fant. At pick 21, the Packers moved up from 30 to take Darnell Savage. He played at free safety, played 14 games, started all of them, reeled in 2 interceptions, forced 2 fumbles, and got 55 total tackles. He was a mainstay there in the Packers secondary along with Adrian Amos. He did struggle with some tackling a little bit, but was a solid player for the Packers, so I'm going to give this pick a B+. Andre Dillard spent his rookie season as the team's backup swing tackle to Lane Johnson and Jason Peters. He started 4 games in the 16-game season and allowed 4 sacks. He struggled at right, but looked a lot more comfortable on the left side. Going forward, Andre Dillard could be a very good starting left tackle, but a left tackle only. So for this pick, in a really relatively up and down season, I think I'll go with a C for Andre Dillard. With the 23rd pick, the Houston Texans went with a major shocker pick in taking Tytus Howard, the right tackle. He was projected to go in the 2nd or possibly the 3rd round and was picked in the 1st. However, Howard did look pretty good in the 8 games he played and allowed only 2 sacks. He is certainly a raw player, but could develop into a very good starting right tackle for Houston going forward. Fortunately, a partially torn MCL wound up landing him on IR, and his season was finished. I also still feel like that this pick still was a reach, and the Houston Texans probably could have traded down out of the 1st round into the top of the 2nd to possibly have taken Howard. So this is not really just the player, it's mostly just of where Howard was selected and could have been selected, so this pick is probably a C+ because it was a reach. The Oakland Raiders hit pay dirt with their 2nd first-round pick by taking the running back Josh Jacobs, who played in 13 games and started all of them. He ran for 1,150 yards and 7 touchdowns. He didn't make too much of an impact as a pass catcher, but he did catch 20 passes for 166 yards. At this point, Josh Jacobs, the only thing you might have to worry about at this point is durability. He did miss some time due to some injuries and looked a little different when he was playing injured. All in all, this is a great pick for the Raiders, so this is going to be an A-. Marquise Brown exploded onto the scene in his first game against the Miami Dolphins and had a career day. His speed and dynamic playability was showcased for all the world to see. He played in 14 games and started 11 of them, so he did miss a little bit of time due to injury, no big deal. But for all in all, the season was a very good one for him. 46 catches, 584 yards, and 7 touchdowns. Marquise Brown to me looks like a really good target for Lamar Jackson and could be a very good duo for years to come. So the grade for Marquise Hollywood Brown to me is a solid A-. The Washington Redskins traded their 2nd round pick for the 2019 draft and this year's draft, and this trade I believe has paid off, and they were able to snag and steal. He racked up 7 sacks, forced 2 fumbles, and 50 total tackles. MONTEZ looks like a very well-rounded player and is only going to get better from here. This pick here was a slam dunk, A all the way. A John Abram for a John Gruden, man. This pick, unfortunately, I just can't give this one a grade because John Abram didn't play a single game in this season. He was knocked out in the preseason and was placed on injured reserve for the 2019 season. For the Los Angeles Chargers, Jerry Tillery was mostly spent his rookie season as a rotational defensive tackle. He played in 15 games, started in 3, collected 2 sacks, no forced fumbles or recovered, and 17 total tackles. Look for Tillery to get more playing time and make an even bigger impact for the Chargers from here on out. The grade for Jerry Tillery, I'll go with a B-. This pick by the Seattle Seahawks, I have no idea what they were thinking. This pick was a reach, a colossal reach here in the first round. Collier was supposed to be picked maybe in the 3rd round. Collier was a late bloomer coming out of college, and unfortunately an ankle injury in camp sidelined him, hampering his abilities to catch on and be able to learn and get some time there working in the defensive line for Seattle. So he started no games but did play in all 16 games, but was a backup. That was also resulted in having pretty much nothing on the stat sheet. No sacks, no fumbles forced or recovered, and 3 total tackles. Because LJ was sidelined, I can't dock him too much, but I feel that the Seattle Seahawks could have made a better pick here and with the 29th pick, so this is not really just based on the player, it's just knowing your board and knowing value, so this pick is a D+. The New York Giants had 3 first-round picks, with the last being cornerback DeAndre Baker, who dropped to the 30th overall pick in the first round, and there was probably a pretty good reason. DeAndre struggled for the most part in his rookie season with the Giants. He was pretty much beaten in coverage and got beaten through the air with 8 TD passes against him, no interceptions, a pass completion percentage of 61.4, was targeted 88 times and allowed 54 completions. The position of corner is tough for a rookie, and with some more time and development, DeAndre could become a really good corner for the New York Giants. So I can't dock him too badly in terms of giving a fair grade. So I'm going to go with a C- for this pick. This was yet another really shocking reach for an offensive tackle. This time, the team that did it was the Atlanta Falcons with the 31st overall pick. KALEB MCGARY was getting some first-round buzz near the end, but I didn't buy it. I felt like he was a 2nd to a 3rd round talent. This was a reach, and KALEB MCGARY certainly made things look like he was a reach here. He allowed 13 sacks total, which was the first amongst all starting offensive tackles. But he did start all 16 games and played all of them through. Maybe in year 2 he can pick things up and improve, but for this rookie season, I have to go with a D+ again for this pick because it was a reach and because McGarry did struggle. And with the last pick in the first round, the New England Patriots went with a wide receiver, N'Keal Harry, who didn't see any action at all until week 11 because he was on injured reserve with an ankle injury. So he played only 7 games and started 5, caught 12 passes for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. Should have had a 3rd. With the limited amount of games and snaps, it's way too early to call N'Keal a bust, but he certainly has a lot of potential and I think could be a very good weapon for whoever is going to play quarterback for the New England Patriots, the Tom Brady-less New England Patriots. This pick here, I will go with a C+. And there you have it for the regrading of the 2019 first round draft picks. Let me know what you think about these grades in the comments section. Be sure to leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already done so. Be on the lookout for a final mock draft, which will be coming within just a few days of the big day. So I will catch you guys later.